watching RTV News with me, Jane Motoni. President Paul Kagame has pointed out that Africa has the potential to attain food security and even export to other continents, and stressed that it can only be achieved through greater cooperation. The First Lady of Rwanda, Her Excellency Jeannette Kagame, noted that good nutrition is the foundation of good health, peace and fertility. A very warm welcome to the news in details. Now, President Paul Kagame has pointed out that Africa has the potential to attain food security and even export to other continents, and stressed that it can only be achieved through greater cooperation. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my
Wednesday's proceedings at the ongoing Africa Green Revolution Forum here in Kigali featured a presidential panel discussion that saw the participation of the presidents of Rwanda, Zimbabwe and Niger, as well as the Vice President of Tanzania. In his remarks, His Excellency Paul Kagame pointed out that it is time for Africa to make good of the strategies in place to transform the continent's agricultural sector.
Our continent put forward a strong common African position, which we have to build on and deliver results on the ground. Let's remember what this work is really about. It is about nutrition. Nutritious food on families' tables every day. It's about more income in farmers' bank accounts. It's about growing agribusiness and creating new service jobs off the farm. Above all, it's about ensuring that Africa is more resilient in the face of unexpected shocks.
The African leader also reiterated that united, the people of the continent are more than capable of navigating any global challenges that may come their way.
The COVID pandemic, ongoing conflicts, and the global supply chain and energy crisis are all placing unusual strain on our food systems. A few lessons are clear from our past experiences. First, we are stronger together. Africa should not be struggling with food insecurity given our natural endowments. We can feed ourselves and even feed others. This is an opportunity for us to work together, learn from each other, and advance homegrown solutions.
The AGRF 2022 summit is being attended by up to 2,500 delegates that include heads of state, ministers in charge of agriculture, members of private sectors, agricultural experts and others.
The First Lady of Rwanda, Her Excellency Jeannette Kagame, has noted that good nutrition is the foundation of good health, peace and fertility, and she is urging African countries to address the problem of hunger caused by a variety of factors including war, civil disorder and more. The First Lady made the comments at the ongoing AGRF summit here in Rwanda, Kigali. Nuriath Agasaro has this report.
This is the second day of the 12th meeting of the International Forum on Agricultural Development in Africa, AGRF, was focused to discussion about good nutrition and the provision of nutrition food for all. It was a discussion attended by African First Ladies, including the First of Rwanda, Her Excellency Jeannette Kagame, who emphasized the importance of proper nutrition for all.
In matters of health, individual and social progress, and indeed overall welfare, nutrition is the inception point. Good nutrition is the cornerstone of health, peace, holistic wellness, and prosperity. It's well known that people with healthy eating habits and patterns avert obesity and non-communicable diseases, notably heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. Therefore, to champion for good nutrition across the world is a necessary feature and of any responsible leadership.
Despite this, many people around the world, particularly in Africa, are at risk of being hungry, according to the 6th report on the global food crisis, recently revealed when it was published in the month of May this year. This is where Her Excellency Janet Kagame started advising African countries to do everything possible in their power to solve the cause of food shortages, especially the civil disorders and wars that continue to be stuck around the continent.
We are told that a projected 660 million people may still face hunger by 2030, half of whom will be on our continent. This reiterates why peace and security are non-negotiable. One of the main drivers of food insecurity in Africa is conflict. Conflict creates internally displaced persons who are no longer able to till their lands and maximize production. Other factors include the high cost of food, where it is available, of course, and income inequality and climate variations.
According to Joseph Lionel Correa Sacco, Commissioner for Rural Economic and Agriculture of the African Union Commission, in 2021, more than 270 million Africans faced food shortages, which is more than 20% of the continent's population. She considers to be a shame for this continent, considering the resources it has.
We don't want to have meetings upon meetings and nothing is happening. And anytime we have to assess the statistics of foods, the status of food security on our continent, we are always the last. When we have all the conditions to feed this nation on our continent, we have 60% of arable land, uncultivated arable land. We have Africa is the region which population are younger, we have the youth, we have water, we have all the ecosystem that we should come out from all these statistics.
Roman Tesfaye, the wife of former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, stresses that the leaders of the continent of Africa should also help to address the issues of malnutrition.
I suppose First Ladies can play two major roles. One is working deeply on an advocacy to become a champion for transformative actions and investments needed to increase access to healthy diets today, while also protecting the environment and climate for the future. First Ladies present in each country in Africa are well positioned to undertake advocacy on nutrition and also on other areas of relevant social and economic development. We have best access, First Ladies have best access to both the country's top position and to the bottom level.
At the conference, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa also presented award to female entrepreneurs with outstanding activities and projects in adding value to agricultural products. Among the four who received the awards known as the Value for Her Women Agripreneur of the Year Awards was the Rwandan Lilian Uwintwari, who runs Mahwitech, the Gambian Fatumane, the Beninese Celia Chabi, and Oliyemisi Ilaloi, the Nigerian who won the main prize. Nuriat Agasaru, RwandaTV News.
His Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa, the President of Zimbabwe, has commended the strides Rwanda has made in promoting peace and unity after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The head of state made the remarks during his visit to the Genocide Memorial Center at Gisozi. Precious Chirezi has this report.
The President of Zimbabwe, accompanied by Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, visited the Genocide Memorial Center, where he paid his respects at the graves of the victims of the genocide against the Tutsi buried there. The Zimbabwean President and his delegation were taken through the various sections within the memorial sites and were given explanations about Rwanda's history, as well as how bad leadership led to the genocide against the Tutsi. The President of Zimbabwe was was also informed of how what was formerly known as the Rwanda Patriotic Army stopped the genocide against the Tutsi, as well as the reconciliation and unity journey Rwanda has embarked on since, which has been complemented by the country's ability to find homegrown solutions to the problems that have been encountered. President Emerson Mnangagwa noted the following in the visitor's log at the memorial site.
This day depicts the saddest and darkest experience of my entire life, where to have been exposed to the cruelest practice committed to by our own people against another section of the community. I pray this sad and dark period of the country's history should never be allowed to happen again, not just in this country, but our continent, Africa, and the human race. I congratulate my dear brother President Paul Kagame for fostering peace and harmony. May his legacy be carried forward by the next generation. Sad history never to happen again. His Excellency Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
The President of Zimbabwe is one of the dignitaries attending the Africa Green Resolution Forum here in Kigali. Precious Tirezi, RTV News.
African countries are being urged to increase the amount of fertilizers used in agriculture so that the continent reaches the goal of self-sufficiency in food by 2025.
In the utilization of fertilizers in Africa.
During the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit, it was proven that the rate of fertilizer use in Africa is still below the standard set in Malabo in 2014 of 50 pounds of fertilizer per hectare. Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria, says that the use of sufficient inputs in Africa agriculture is the best way for the continent to reach the goal of self-sufficiency in food by 2025.
If we do not get them all together, the package together, then we aren't going anywhere. We have hybrid seed. Our hybrid seed will not perform as well as it should perform, as high as it should perform, unless we have fertilizer to back it up. And if we have hybrid seed, and we do not have fertilizer, it is a waste. So how do we then marry together the high-yielding seed and the necessary inputs in terms of fertilizer, herbicides, and other inputs to be able to get what is expected that we should get from the hybrid seed, which our scientists have been able to give to us, which innovation has given to us.
While the Africa Green Revolution Forum is being held in Rwanda, many countries are said to have continued to help farmers increase the amount of fertilizer used through the terms of the agreement signed by the heads of state and government. Countries have pledged to invest at least 10% of their budgets in agriculture. Currently, 7 countries, including Rwanda, are ranked at the top in terms of investing in agriculture, especially supporting farmers in terms of fertilizers. Recently, when the Prime Minister of Rwanda, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, while attending the 57th meeting of the African Development Bank, pointed out that Rwanda had facilitated farmers in terms of reducing prices of fertilizers.
We used to import fertilizers like other African countries, and we have decided to put in place now a plan to produce our fertilizers locally, because that is an input we need in agriculture. The plant will be complete, I think, from now 1 year. We have that plant producing fertilizers in Rwanda.
In Rwanda's budget for 2021-2022, about 13 billion was spent on importing fertilizers from 5 billion in 2018-2019. This meant the fertilizer used per hectare reached 60 pounds in 2021 from 32 pounds per hectare in 2017. Some Rwandans and foreigners in Rwanda believe that the country is well on its way to self-sufficiency in food.
Food security, as it seemed, since my stay here in Rwanda, it seems to be quite adequate. We've not had any problems with the local crops being supplied to us, so that's a very good thing. I want to be and say very appreciative to the government of Rwanda, who has been very diligent and supplying the small farmers with the necessary funding and technical assistance that they will need in order to produce bunker crops.
According to the Malabos agreement, there are only 3 years left until Africa's commitment of 2025 to be famine-free is attained. While Africa has not been able to reach 50 kilograms of fertilizer per hectare, other continents have reached between 128 and 393 kilograms of fertilizer used per hectare. In 2023, a conference in Africa is scheduled to focus only on the use of fertilizers and good soil health in Africa. A team of young cyclists from East African community have acknowledged their responsibility of explaining to the citizens of the bloc the policies and the activities of this community and their importance. Prince Manzi has this report.
It is a team of 34 cyclists who participated in the tour named Great Africa Cycling Safari that brings together the youth from the country members of the East African community. Some of these youth say that they not only raise awareness about the community, but also consider different opinions from the citizens.
Normally do not feed them information. We normally want to hear their opinions about the East African community. Are they aware about the East African community? Are they aware about the benefits that they can get as an East African and all that? But normally we sensitize, we have big gatherings that we hold and press conferences that we do hold, and then we explain to the citizens along the way how they can benefit from the East African community, how they can benefit from their cultures, how they can benefit from the economics of the whole East African community.
The leader of this team of cyclists elaborates on the basic missions of this tour.
The first pillar is the ESC integration process. As we ride, we interact with different communities along the way. We share with them, we tell them the little that we know about the ESC and how important it is to have a big force, to have a united East Africa. The second aspect is tourism and trade. We are promoting tourism within the region. Our third pillar, Honorable Minister, is environment and climate change. Last year, we planted over 80,000 trees. But this year, we are planting trees as well.
The Minister of State in charge of East African Community at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Professor Nshuti Manasseh, states that when people cross borders in such a way, it is a symbol of unity and cooperation that should always be embraced by the members of this community.
These young men, wherever they pass, they take the spirit of unity among the countries. We are one people as a nation. And we can't trade unless we are one people. We can't cross the border. So when they cross the border and stay in Kavali, for example, they are going to take the message to Kavali. We are one people, we are coming from Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, but then we are one people. And our destiny is also one.
This is the 5th edition of the Great Africa Cycling Safari. The participants passed through Mombasa, Dar es Salaam, Dodoma and Bujumbura. From Kigali now, they are heading to Uganda. Prince Manzi, RTV News.
Well, on behalf of the entire news production team, thank you very much for your company. I'm Jane Motoni. Bye for now.